I am Dr. Charles Apoki. We are still saying Happy New Year. This morning I'm going to speak to one of the biggest cooperative societies in Nigeria, and it is in Ughelli here. All of them are multi-millionaires, and it's going to be very exciting. I want to talk to you about converting hatred to an advantage. How to convert people, the situation of being disliked or discriminated against or hated, to an advantage. But let me quickly say some things up front. This life is your own. This life is your investment. This life is your game. Don't let others live it for you. You can live and serve others, but learn to preserve yourself, your dignity, your sense of self-worth, your integrity, and your legacy. The next thing is that it is your game that you invented. Play it according to your rules. I have found out that most people who have a little comparative advantage over you would want to come into your life like a virus or an infection and take control of your mind and your system. If a virus, a rhinovirus that causes catarrh, comes into your nostril, it will start controlling you. You start sneezing. You have fever. And if plasmodiasis, just simple malaria parasite, enters your system, you start shivering. Prevent it. Prevent it. Don't let any person live his own life, then come into your life to want to live your own life. It doesn't work. Even in marriage. I was listening to a video online. It said that one of the things that makes marriages last long is the office. That when a man has somewhere he can go to, a woman has somewhere she can go to, separate from the home, that you have a chance somewhere to be yourself. She has a chance somewhere to be herself, then you come together. Most marriages that eventually have burnout syndrome is over the intensity of interaction, proximity, of trying to mold each other, of trying to live to please society. That's what destroys marriages and destroys people. May, Judy, and Yul Edochie has become a market for some people, has become a profession, a preoccupation. May Edochie, Yul Edochie, it happened again. And three of them are playing to the gallery. Is Yul Edochie the first person to divorce his wife? Is Yul Edochie the first person to commit adultery? Is, what is her name? The first person to take another person's husband? It's just that they have allowed themselves to be controlled by social media and they are playing to the gallery. This life is my own. When I die, I will give an account. You won't give an account. When I die, you will continue your life if you live longer than I am. I try not to become a virus in people's lives. I set my standards. within the norms of the law. I break rules. I break rules. I don't conform. I don't conform. Makes you ordinary. Anyway, we're going to look at Joseph. I've been doing a series on Joseph, and Joseph wept 7 times, and I think that we are at weeping number weeping number 5, and this is the meeting between Isaac and Joseph. Isaac, Genesis chapter 46 and Genesis chapter 47. In our previous study, Pharaoh had sent carriages or vehicles, let's use cars in this dispensation, trucks, to go carry Jacob and his family and his belongings to Egypt because of the famine or famine. I don't know the right pronunciation. You can't do me anything. So, one thing was outstanding, and I discussed it with my wife this morning. There were 72 people that left. But Jacob had servants. There was no mention of the names of the servants. There was no mention of their names. It is good to serve people, but learn to preserve yourself and create a legacy for yourself. The servants were either not mentioned or they were left behind. I did a video that don't be disposable. Don't be used as tissue paper and thrown away. Don't be a broom. A broom can be used to sweep the compound. One can be used to sweep the sitting room, but it is hidden somewhere. A broom is never used for decoration. Groom yourself. Add value to yourself. Excuse me. And then you can be used to decorate society. And so the servants were not mentioned. Bashar al-Assad was running from Syria. He ran away with his family and left his foot soldiers. Some of them ran to Iraq. They brought them back. Some of them have just surrendered. Some of those who were who were executioners, they've been caught and dealt with. In this country, Nigeria, and Africa in general, we have servants who are enemies of their countries, enemies of their people, because of perceived relative comparative advantages that they have over the people and privileges. You will be left behind. Left behind mentally. They will leave you. Their children will grow beyond your children. You will be left behind socially. You will be left behind physically, where there is hunger and famine. And so Jacob journeyed. I found out that right from biblical times, in the Old Testament, these Jewish people are very organized. They have order, and then they have systems. Remember, when the brothers of Joseph came to meet Joseph, they sat according to their ages. because some were looking older than their ages, Joseph wanted to identify Benjamin by making them sit according to their ages. One of the things we need in Nigeria and Africa and in your personal life is orderliness. We are too chaotic. Our churches are noisy. Our environments are noisy. Our businesses are disorderly. One of the things I must do this year is to bring order to some of the things I do. Then, sequence. Jacob sent Judah ahead to go meet Joseph, to know the direction to Goshen. Remember, Reuben, the eldest son, who went into the bed of his father to sleep with his wife, has suddenly started losing relevance. It was Judah that was now taking over leadership. And so the lion of the tribe of Judah, not the lion of the tribe of Reuben. His father, you will see in chapter 49, when he was blessing them, he said, Reuben, the excellency of my strength, talked so many good things about him. He said, but you are as turbulent as the waves of the sea, and so you shall no longer excel. Take two brothers, take two friends, take two students, take two colleagues. The restless one, the turbulent one, does not do well. He will take decisions irrationally. He or she is moved by the amygdala, not the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex regulates our actions and our thoughts. And if you have a good prefrontal cortex control over your life, you do well. Some people are too impulsive, too reckless. I see them on social media. They comment on issues that do not concern them. They call people names, all kinds of things. And usually, those people are servants. Servants. They are serving people who don't even know them. Just like as Saul said, whose son is that going to confront Goliath? Saul didn't know who David was, even though David had been there. So, Reuben, restless. But Judah, who was one time restless because he had a bad friend from Adullam who made him to sleep with his daughter-in-law, has started calming down. And so, Judah was to go meet Joseph first, just in case there was a trap. He did not want a situation where his whole family can be wiped out. Just the way Jacob did when he was to meet Esau. So strategic thinkers. He shared the children into batches. The ones of servants, can you see? The ones of servants first, and then the next one of the next servant that is less loved, like that. Then kept Joseph at the back. So, are you a servant? Now, he sent Judah first. Learn to prioritize. Learn to be proactive. Learn to think beyond those who hate you. And Joseph went with his own chariot or limousine to go and wait for his father. You don't know what that means. When I landed in the airport in Bucharest, and my son was there to receive me, the joy, I had not seen him for some years, the joy. When I landed in Yash, my son was there to receive me, the joy. When I landed in Dortmund, and my son was there to receive us, I've not seen him for some years. But now listen, that is protocol. You go to preach in some churches, you will tell the person that I'm leaving Ugili now. I will be at Choba most likely by this time. Call me by so time. He will not call you. Then you will reach Choba, you start waiting for him. There was one day I was to go and speak somewhere. The venerable delegated a canon to receive me. If he does not delegate him, he will say that he's planning everything on his own. And so the canon, I called him. I will be at so place at so time. We are already at Emoha, so you should be at. I got there. He was not there. I was waiting for him. And then he came in. I rebuked him. Next time, don't keep your guests waiting. Don't keep your guests waiting. I rebuked him. Whether you are Canon, if you are Canon, me and Bazooka. Rebuked him. He squeezed his face. I don't care. Rebuked him. Don't do that with another person. After some time, after squeezing his face, me, I don't care. Now you sabi. Bust you. After squeezing his face, he brought his children and I should mentor them. I should mentor him. That's you. I was going from Durban to Port Elizabeth in South Africa in a double-decker bus. By the time we got to one place, they came and collected the phone numbers of our hosts. And they called them. By the time we were reaching the bus station, because it was winter, cold, we were reaching the bus station, our hosts were there. And we just entered their cars and we moved. Same thing in Durban when we left Joburg to Durban. Shabby people treat people shabbily. And Joseph was there to receive his father. If Joseph was not an organized person, he could not be pleased over Egypt. I have some young men I work with. We are leaving by 10 o'clock. They won't be there. They will always hurry down. I told a general overseer that wanted to go with me to a state to preach. I will leave by 2 o'clock. I gave him 2 weeks notice. I told my daughter, I will leave by 2 o'clock. 2 weeks notice. By 10 a.m., I went to remind her, we will leave by 2 o'clock. By 2 o'clock, the vehicle I chartered came. I entered. My daughter and my granddaughter were not ready. I left them. I left them. I left them. It was when I got to Patani, or my way to Patani. My wife called me. Your granddaughter wants to talk to you. Daddy. So I've left you people. I have left you people. They had to come on their own. Spend money. Take risk. By the next time I was to travel with them, it was my granddaughter. Mommy, you know daddy, he will leave you. You know daddy, he will leave you. The night before, everybody wants to treat you like trash. Excuse me. Everybody wants to bring their viruses to infect you. No, this is my space. This is my space. And so, Joseph was there. So, if people hate you, prove them wrong by being an efficient, a competent, an effective, and a productive person, an organized person. And then Joseph shaved himself before going to meet Pharaoh because he knew in the prison and in the house of Potiphar that Egyptians don't like bearded people. It is Islam that brought this wearing of beards to Egypt. Excuse me. And so, Joseph took his father and his brothers to go see Pharaoh. But before then, he told them, look, Pharaoh is going to ask you, what is your occupation? That statement sank into my head. You see, people are more interested in what you are going to bring into their lives. We will see that Jacob is anointed or was anointed, but the anointing was not what mattered. What is your occupation? What is your contribution to the economy? Some of the things you do in church, how do they contribute to your economic growth, to your well-being? You went to church crossover night, you lit candle, you did that, you did declaration. At the end of the year, please, if you are a reasonable person, ask yourself all the prophecies, all the pronouncements, all the declarations, which are good, how many of them came to pass? And so, he told them that he will ask you, what is your profession? What do you do? You're just coming into my country. What do you do? In fact, in the forms you fill for visa, your occupation, your income, your account statement, how much, you see, it's very important. Even in marriage, when you want to marry a lady, what do you do? What skills do you have? Sex is not a skill. Animals do it better. What are you bringing? Don't let rearing babies become a byproduct of your life. What is this person bringing? You emotional people, you bust you. He said, tell him. So Joseph could predict the questions. In those days, if I listen to a lecturer, I can predict the questions. Say, tell him that we are shepherds and we came with our animals, and that we would like to dwell in Goshen where we can have pasture. Lo and behold, when they got to Pharaoh, the first question is, what is your occupation? Joseph knew that Egyptians hated shepherds, those who do animal husbandry. And so he intentionally worked on their hatred to create an advantage, to go to Goshen, the Nile Delta, where Ramses, a town, grew. Deltas are usually very fertile soils, have mineral deposits, and they will have space. One of the things that helped me discover myself was when people started disliking me in my denomination. When they started saying evil things against me in my denomination, it made me to withdraw. Sometimes you need to be isolated from the crowd to incubate the raw materials in you. When a hen lays eggs, a time comes it is separated from the chicken population and incubates the eggs at a temperature of 37 degrees centigrade for 21 days. In the period of incubation, the formless egg starts to develop beaks, feathers, muscles, claws, heart, kidney, and whatever, gizzard. Some of you need some degree of isolation for incubation, for manifestation. You know, that's sweet. Isolation for incubation, for manifestation. Each person that God used in the Bible had a period of isolation. Jacob was threatened by Esau, and he was incubated in the house of Laban. Moses was threatened in Egypt and ran to the house of Jethro. He was incubated in the wilderness, warm temperature. Jesus was threatened, hated, and he ran to Egypt. So, is that the book of Revelation was written in prison. Even me, I found out that when my wife is angry with me and is not communicating with me, and I isolate myself, I become more productive. I become more productive. And it's true. And she knows it. I become more productive. What does she call that syndrome now? She calls me one kind of syndrome when I start isolating myself. So when I came into town, they held a meeting that they should not invite me to their churches. They said all kinds of things, detestable things. Yesterday, one of my assistants was talking to me that when they were following me, when I was mentoring, they said that man, no person ever follows him and amounts to anything. He mentioned one of my nephews that I've done a video about, paid for GC for him 4 times, gave him instruments, brought his children here, gave them scholarship. They resided here, but they turned out to be a nuisance. No nuisance, no stupid person can stay with me and prosper. I will drive you away. I will quack you. I will holler you. Stupidity does not prosper around me. But the person he was talking to, I paid his PhD fees for 1 year, gave him 1 million, found a job for him, and several things I've done in his life. His first 3 million, he got it through me. You can't bring your stupidity around me. No. No, we'll fight. We'll fight. And so they were taken to Goshen. The king said, he said, the land is before you. Anywhere you choose, go there, go. And if there is any of your brothers that is good at animal husbandry, please give him my animals to take care of. Employment was created for his brothers, royal employment through hatred. But Joseph was strategic. He selected only 5 of his brethren, five of his brethren, to go see Pharaoh out of the 11 other brethren. Why? He knows if they hate shepherds, now my brothers and my father, they are coming as shepherds. We are 72. There are 72 that have come. If I carry the whole 72 to go and meet him, he will feel uncomfortable. We want to bring... No, he will feel uncomfortable. So he took 5 and he selected the 5. I'm sure he didn't take the one with hard faces. He will have selected the ones that look presentable, the ones that can behave well in public. 5, only 5. Not the talkative one, not the one that gets easily angry. Remember the 7 things you need to remove from your life. Yesterday, my wife and I were watching the Inspector General of Police. He went to Enugu as preparations for the visit of the president. As they were video recording the president, the Inspector General of Police, there was one person by the side. He was making like this. My wife said, "Who is that person? Who is that person?" You could carry some of your brothers to the palace and they'll make like this. And these fellows can't stay here. So he selected 5. Be very strategic and proactive. Joseph knew the appetite, knew the disposition, knew the taste of Pharaoh, knew the questions he would ask. No wonder he said, he has made me God over Pharaoh, father over Pharaoh. Do you know what these people want? Do you know what your clients want? Do you know your customer disposition? Not fringe customers. There are some fringe customers. Do away, they will waste your time. They will waste your time. On social media here, there are fringe subscribers. They've not even subscribed, they are just viewers. Fringe. They don't contribute anything to my growth. but they want to demand attention. No, bust them. The customer is always right, excepting when he is drunk or he doesn't know what he wants or it becomes a threat to the values of your organization. So the customer is not always right. There are exceptions to every rule. And so Pharaoh asked a question that I want to ask you. What is your occupation? And the children of Israel answered that we have been shepherds from generation to generation. Ah, that thing struck me. If you see businesses where Africans go to work in the diaspora, there are businesses that have stayed for years. You don't even know the owners. If you look at Sabanci Foundation in Turkey, it's headed by a woman now. It has been there for years. If you look at Beretta family, they've been producing pistols for 500 years. If you look at Dangote and Dantata, they've been there for years. Look at Pick and Pay in South Africa, they've been there for years. If you look at Martinelli's wine, they've been there for years. You look at Walmart supermarket, Sam Walton established that years back. If you look at IKEA, they will have a transgenerational inheritance system. Not to talk of the Rothschilds that have been dealing on gold for more than 200 years. The problem with the African, particularly the Negroid African, the Bantoid, the one that looks like Bantu with a broad nose like my own, excuse me, is that the father and the mother will start a business. Then we will go to school to become servants for other people. And then we will negate the business that trained us. And then that business will wither. But what the Jewish people and the Middle Eastern people do is that this is the family business. No matter what we read or read in the university, we will come back to this business and build it. So if you go to Damascus, there is the Bagdash ice cream parlor. It has been producing ice cream since 1895. It has been producing ice cream since 1895. And the ice cream is distributed around the Middle East. There's a family in Nablus in Palestine. They produce a special type of soap from olives. It has been there for nearly 400 years. In Japan, there is an inn with warm water springs. It has been there for 1,300 years. Stanley Hotel in Nairobi, I think they've added a name to it. I've stayed there. Stanley Hotel was founded in 1902 in Nairobi, and it is still there. In fact, the lift is paneled with oaks. Not you don't see steel or aluminum. When you enter the rooms in Stanley Hotel, when I saw towels, I was thinking that my skin would dirty the towels. It was better than the hotel I stayed in Melbourne in 2015, the Melbourne Airport Hotel. You see the waiters with tuxedo. There is a system they've improved on that has been there since 1902. What is your family known for? We have been running schools now. We are opening a tertiary institution. We're going to build a specialist hospital. Thank God we have a daughter-in-law that is a cardiologist. I have a son that is a surgeon. I'll be glad if my last child can marry a medical doctor. So the medical line will not wither. The school line will not wither. This thing I am doing here with you is going to be inherited by one of my sons. It will continue from here. We are not playing with it. I was thinking yesterday, I'm going to build a hall. That hall, Apoki Library, after I have lived and gone, people will come and watch these videos and learn from my philosophy. That is part of eternal life. Part of eternal life. I will live after I have left. That is eternal life in the lives of others. And so the next question, and that's where I will end this lengthy lecture. And Joseph brought Jacob to his father and set him before Pharaoh. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh. Jacob blessed Pharaoh, the anointed. He blessed Pharaoh. I don't know how he blessed Pharaoh, but I think he spoke into his life. He barakad him, made a pronouncement upon Pharaoh. They blessed him 2 times. And then he asked a question. How old are you? How old are you? And then Jacob said, I'm 130 years. Because either Jacob was looking one kind. According to Obasanjo, was looking one kind. Say, how old are you? He said, I'm 130 years. My days have been few, and my days have been filled with hardship and pain. Jacob, after stealing Esau's blessing, after taking his birthright, he did not have real enjoyment until he met Pharaoh. Remember my video on he who gets ill-gotten wealth in old age, the wealth will fly away and he will be like a fool. So live a righteous life. This Nigeria, stealing this, that. Live a righteous life. And your days would be pleasant. I'm forgetting something, I can't remember it now. I remain Dr. Charles Apoki. I have a webinar coming up on the 10th and on the 11th of January. Send a message to +234 80 21 21 92 62. This duration of message I've shared here, it's ₦1,000,000 they pay in Nigeria to listen to it. It's $1,000 I charge foreigners. But you listen to it here free. It is the future I'm looking onto. People, this thing I'm doing now will be like a cinema house. People will come, sit down and listen. like as they used to go and listen to Jimmy Carter. Remember the webinar 10th and 11th January. The things we share in the webinar are private. We don't share them to the general public. So if you are not registered, you won't learn those things. Send a message to +234 80 21 21 92 62. We have properties for sale. We have books for sale. Send a message to that same number, +234 80 21 21 92 62. It will direct you to the book manager. God bless you.